All right, welcome everyone to another edition of Deconversion Stories. And a little quick reminder before we get into things here: if you guys dig the tunes that start and finish these shows, you can check out our links down below. There's all kinds of music by both myself and Mikey down below, so you can check that stuff out there. And Mikey's got his shit going crazy over there already.
Hey Neil, you're live. It was Twitch telling me.
Oh, right on. Thank you, Twitch. Anyways, today's guest is a local gal named Kate Madden, who I kind of stumbled across on TikTok and was immediately like, wow, somebody from my neck of the woods. Cool. Issues with religion. Cool. I like this. All right, let's get her on the show. So I sent you a message and here we are. And anyways, I signed you up for this, not really knowing if you consider yourself to be an atheist or more of an agnostic. So maybe we should start there.
Sure. Yeah, I don't consider myself to be an atheist. So I would say if anything, I'm a theistic kind of existentialist. Just like, why am I here? What am I doing here? You know, how can I make sense of the randomness of the world and make connection with people as well? Sure. So, you know, I've when I look through kind of my journey, like just with regards to religion, with regards to faith, I grew up in a Catholic home with an Irish Catholic father. So, you know, culturally there's a lot there that I'm still unpacking years later. But you know, there's something that I'm just trying to understand, I guess, and there's something that I do sense just in terms of being aware of a common experience that we've all had in terms of being in community with each other, you know, going through millennia and whatever that is, you know, whether that be love or service, I don't know what to call it, but there's something that we all respond to, and that I feel over time has been corrupted by religion. So if anything, I would say I'm theistic, but certainly irreligious.
Okay.
I think you're talking about just like good naturedness. You know what I mean? Like that wanting to, like, oh, the kid popped his chain off of his bike. Hey, come here, you little scrapper. Here, let me help you. This is how you do that. Like, you don't have to do that kind of stuff, but you just kind of feel compelled to do nice stuff for people.
Yeah, and you know, morality should never just be the purview of the religious, right? And
fair enough.
Like, yeah, just don't be an asshole.
That shit.
So, did you consider yourself, I guess, earlier in life? Did you consider yourself to be religious?
Yeah, you know,
churchgoer.
I was, devout.
What was your flavor?
My flavor? Well, I was Catholic, very Catholic, and studied to be a priest. And,
oh, wow.
Eventually moved down to the States, to Minnesota. So I speak Midwest, Mikey. I can speak Minnesota nice. And joined the Jesuits in Minnesota. So I got to know a lot of folks in the Midwest, and that would be my flavor, was you know, trying, and you know, at the time not recognizing that I was just running away from myself and who I was, and just the constant message of sinfulness, because I knew I was trans, but you know, like in the 90s, all you had was, in terms of media representation, was things like Jerry Springer or what have you. You know, so very problematic. And then to hear it from the pulpit or in the confessional, going to confession, like, you know, to pray the gay away, so to speak. It was so. I ran away to the seminary to be a priest, and couldn't do that because you can't run away from yourself, but still.
Real quick, did you feel like, well, if I just completely immerse myself in this, then I won't have any of these distractions to sin, something like go all in?
Yeah, like I
What I
really
was gonna ask you.
clung
Gotcha.
to like black and white thinking, like in terms of canon law, in terms of scripture, in terms of theology, just like it's either right or wrong, it's good or not. And if I had this mast to cling to in the storm of my identity, that would save me. And as long as I kept going to church, going to confession, doing all the things that I've been told to, I had a priest say to me, it's like, well, you can make your own way to heaven, or you could use the guidebook here. The map is laid out for you, and it's going to be easier for you. And
Right.
yeah, in retrospect, it's scurrilous is the word I would use. Like really,
It's a $3 word.
That's a $3 word. Like, well, it's harmful. How many people have been
Yeah.
hurt thinking like that? And yeah, in the end, I had to be myself and step away from that. So that's a long way of answering the question about what my flavor was. I hope that answers it.
Yeah, for sure. I think so.
Can you repeat that? I just really no, I'm just kidding.
I kind of want to know. Have you actually have you read the scriptures like from cover to cover kind of thing? I'm assuming you did, considering you want to be a priest and whatnot.
Yeah, twice. Yeah.
What about, say, the Old Testament?
So I prefer to call it the Hebrew Scripture, in that Judaism is a faith that is alive today, and
I'm an ex-Jew.
Yeah, that's right. You mentioned that. So I feel like that's Jewish erasure by the Christian hegemony, and so I prefer to say Hebrew Scriptures and Christian Scriptures. But yeah, what do I think of them?
Yeah, do you think they're, I guess the word I'm looking for is true. Do you actually believe that there's truth in them?
I think there's a lot of allegorical truth in them. Like, the world was not created in 7 days, but
right
here we are 7 billion years after the Big Bang, or whatever.
13.5.
13. Yeah. I was thinking the age of the planet.
Oh, we almost got a birthday. We got a birthday coming up, y'all.
But yeah, allegorically, there was no flood.
Right.
There are things that we can take from that. There are things we can learn from that. And
of course, there was no flood. The Earth is flat.
Yeah.
You can't flood a flat Earth. Ha
Well,
I think ice wall keeps it in.
I forgot about the ice wall. Damn it!
I think they believe it's concave.
There was like a Nazi thing where they literally researched about there being a hollow Earth. Like they were dead ass serious about it.
Yeah, and then they took that to the Godzilla versus King Kong movie.
Yeah.
Which is too funny.
Oh, so amazing.
So, like myself, you were raised in a faith, and I ultimately, when I actually read the scriptures, like the old scriptures and stuff, they're the Hebrew Bible, as you call it, which is the original, right, of the trilogy, right? So, there's a lot of stuff in there that really got me thinking, because I had to study for my bar mitzvah and whatnot, and I had a haftorah, which is the Torah portion that you read for your family to laugh at you because your voice is changing, and then a lot of that stuff really stood out to me as being literally like mythology, like all the stuff that we've heard in other belief systems, like Greek or Roman or Norse or Asian or whatever you want, all the mythologies from around the globe. And one of the questions I had to ask from my Hebrew teacher, my Hebrew school teacher, was, why was it that these stories that we read all the time, why do they sound a lot like all the other stories that other groups are telling about their beliefs and stuff like that? Why do they sound quite similar? And honestly, she told me, she said, well, there's a few reasons for that. A lot of the stories that we read, and to this day, I'm still wondering if she was even a believer anymore. But she said a lot of the stories that we are familiar with from the old scriptures and stuff like that they're taken from surrounding cultures like Egypt and Canaan and Babylon, et cetera, and kind of reworked into what we now know of as the Old Testament or the Hebrew Bible in those scriptures. So I kind of want to ask you, let's just say, for example, that we found out somehow that none of that stuff ever really happened, that the characters are completely made up. Would that change your view on some of this stuff?
Well, I mean, was Abraham real? I mean, probably not, or Moses.
Right. He definitely wasn't.
Yeah. There is no burning bush.
Right.
But
well, in Alberta, there's a few.
and Quebec.
Yeah.
So it's
in my garage.
That's
wrong bush.
So I don't know that my worldview would shift significantly in that I'm already there. Like I don't accept the Bible as the literal word of God. It's
right.
It's a 4,000-year-old document or 3,000-year, whatever they want to say, guiding humanity through different periods where everything has changed over and over and over. And these are, I would argue, more like avatars that we can project onto, our current worldview, for better or worse. And we live in a time now where a lot of it is weaponized.
We're in the worst section.
Yeah. So it doesn't change, like, in that. I believe, with regards to the Christian scriptures, I mean, to my knowledge, there's 2 historical mentions of what they think is Jesus in Josephus. I forget what the second one was, but there was somebody there, but like the Gospels were written like 100 years later, and they were probably based off of 2 other documents, and they were
I think Greek. Mark, possibly, that the other guys just copied from the Mark.
Well, so there's of the 4, so there's 3 that are referred to as the synoptic or the same eye, and then John is the 4th one because it's based off of something else. But it's they call it the Gospel of X, I think. My knowledge is pretty limited.
Well, I mean, with the Gospels, like the 4, there's with Mark, Luke, and Matthew and stuff like that. Those are just names they assigned. They didn't even know who the authors were. Right?
Luke existed. He was a Greek physician. They do know that, but like years and years later, like he wasn't there.
I think what's the other one, Mikey? Not Josephus, but there was it starts with a T, I think. Anyway, if any of you guys out in the chat,
there's a fact check. Yeah,
I think it's Jermaine Jackson is the one.
No, different era.
Tito. Thinking of Tito.
I mean, let's be honest. I mean, we don't even really have any original scriptures at all. They're all based off of the Greek, which is a rewrite of a rewrite of a rewrite sort of thing. So, no, not Thaddeus. Jeez, back.
I said it was Tito.
It'll come to me eventually. My brain's kind of slow sometimes. Tony. Yeah. The Gospel according to Tony. Yeah.
Forget about it.
Forget about it. Yeah.
Forget about it.
What about, like, what is it that kind of keeps you in the belief? Like, what keeps you remaining convinced, I guess is what I'll ask.
Yeah, I guess I haven't quite thought about it in a while. I think, and these aren't necessarily belief or non-belief. It's just there's a sense of wonder I have about the world and about living
for sure.
and creation, and maybe the wrong word to use to describe that sense or that belief is belief, or but that's really what it is like I see my kids growing up. I see the people who came before me. I see how beautiful the blue sky was this afternoon, which we don't get a lot here in Vancouver.
You mean
Vancouver, yeah. These are things that I guess I feel humbled by, like in that true sense of the word. Like I stare out at the stars and I'm just made aware.
Don't get me started on the stars.
Yeah, I just made aware of how small I am. And
yeah.
So maybe the word I'm using to describe it is, I'm appropriating it from religion, but that's what I'm kind of, going back to that sense of why am I here, and I think it's all tied into that. So maybe I still haven't answered the question, Neil, and I'm still trying to figure out why am I here. And
hey, you know what?
To do this show. That was the sole purpose.
I've spoken to a lot of people that it took years to finally come to terms with how they felt about their previous belief and about the existence of a deity. I also refer to myself as an atheist. Are you familiar with that?
Never heard of
it. Just so I get the actual definition right. It's basically
you don't care if there's a God?
No, that's atheist.
Oh, there you go. My bad.
Atheist is more like whether or not the existence of a God is kind of irrelevant, because or the question of God's existence is not irrelevant. They'll say meaningless, okay, because the word God has no coherent or unambiguous definition. You know what I mean? Like nobody can give you, or you ask anyone you ask, they're going to give you their version of what they think a God is, right? So
there isn't even consensus on God.
Right.
So
right. It also depends on which version of the Bible you get too, right?
Yeah.
So
I got the brown-haired version. With the woolly hair, bronze skin. No. Feet of clay. They was really pushing for Jesus to be black. I'm like, hey, he didn't exist, but it's all good.
Well, we don't know that for sure, but I can confidently say that I think the character of Jesus in any of the religious tomes out there probably didn't exist in that fashion. There may have been some wacky itinerant rabbi that was running around.
100%.
Yep. Right. That ended up being the main character of these stories. And I was going to fucking say something and I forgot what it was because Mikey went off on one of his damn tangents and then threw me a curveball.
Hey, you're supposed to expect curveballs around here.
To your point about your bar mitzvah teacher, taking from the various cultures surrounding the Jews way back when, like you look at the first century Mediterranean with the Greeks, the Hellenic culture at the time, and then the Roman Empire. Like it's right. That part's historical. Like there are historical aspects of it.
Of course.
Like what was taken
the
from
Persians.
This is the thing that
Zoroastrianism,
Mithras. Well, like this is
Mithras.
like I think a lot of it goes back to that. Like when you look at the liturgical aspect of Christianity, and the blood of Christ, the lamb's blood, like all, and like you go look at the Mithraic liturgies where they're literally slicing a bull's neck above their heads and becoming like something out of Carrie, right? But there's a sculpture at the Colosseum depicting that. Like it's
the most metal. That's the most metal thing I've ever heard. Jesus.
Yeah. But the Mithraic.
I've been to the Colosseum, by the way.
Yeah. So it's like on one of the upper levels. It's like you have to.
Yeah.
I knew where it was, so I went and looked for it, and I found it. But it's not. There's nobody around. When you think it's the soldiers' religion of the legionaries back then, and how far the legions went, and then you go to Constantine with the sign of like in hoc signo vinces, like at the battle of I forget, it starts with an M. There's a bridge where Constantine won by telling the soldiers paint crosses on your shields, but it wasn't a cross; it was the sword from Mithras. And maybe I'm totally wrong, and someone's gonna leave a comment here saying I'm smoking
Maxentius or the Milvian Bridge.
There it is. Yes, the Milvian. Thank you.
Gotcha.
So I was right about the M.
That's all I needed. That's all I needed. I found it.
How much of so how much of that itinerant Jewish rabbi from Judea or the Sea of Galilean, how much of that was just kind of copy and pasted into these other faiths to assist and support in the administrative functions of the Roman Empire, and how much of it was maintained like throughout history over the next 1600 years, where church and state were one. Right. The Spanish Inquisition was not the Spanish Catholic Church, but the Spanish state, which was the Catholic Church.
Yeah, run by them. Yeah.
So, that's, if that gave you some time to get your thought back.
Yeah, that's one. I remembered another question that I asked my Hebrew school teacher. I said, so, why, if you're God, okay, and as God was described to me when I was a kid, as he was, omnipotent, he was pretty much all powerful and could do anything except, of course, beat iron chariots. But that's a different story.
Damn them.
I asked her, why would this kind of a being only announce himself to people in one little place on the planet and not the whole world at the same time? And she could never answer that question.
It just roaming data charges.
Holy, that's the most brilliant.
Think about it. All those time zones. Oh my God, he'd be broke. Can God rack up a phone bill so high that even he can't pay it?
Oh, brother. Well, it seemed odd to me.
Why,
you know what I mean?
Why indeed, right? And then kind of that whole Gentile, non-Gentile exclusion, right? Where it was just the 13 tribes of Israel, which, going back to the allegory of the Hebrew scriptures of the story of Abraham, did he exist? Well, somebody existed, and whoever that was or whatever community that was, they were the first to break away from polytheism to monotheism, and that was what was the differentiator within that region at the time. And that's maybe why God's chosen people were the only ones, Jacob's descendants, right?
Sure.
And but what a what a horrible price to pay. Like where God tells Abraham to take his son,
Take his
and
son, yeah.
tie him to the rock, and then that's still held up as the model of what your faith should be, that you're willing to kill your child until God stays your hand. And how freaking ridiculous is that? So that's my take at why the Hebrew people, the ancient Israelites, were the only ones who possessed
that knowledge.
Yeah,
or that they were the lucky ones that got chosen, I guess, or something along those lines. Who knows? I don't even know. Just always felt kind of weird because all these different peoples all over the globe had their own thing going on,
and bigger things. Like if you think the Canaanites had Baal, Baal, whom I believe was that was a very dominant religion at the time, and human sacrifice and all that, which may have been another reason why Judaism kind of thrived, because there wasn't that aspect. There wasn't human sacrifice.
That's a good point.
The sacrifice became the animals, unblemished animals. Like I'm really stretching here. Like I'm trying to remember. I'm going back a few years here in my head.
Non-cloven hoofed or whatever that
yes,
was.
Thank you. Yeah.
Unblemished. The fish had to have scales, and right. Yeah. So all kinds of little. He was pretty picky
fish
guy.
Doesn't have scale? Oh, like a catfish.
Yeah, or eels.
Oh, I was supposed to. I'm like, what fucking fish doesn't have scales? Like, that's stupid. Oh,
but how much of those restrictions were based on don't eat this, you're gonna die? Like shellfish, right? Like, how often did people get sick from shellfish? 3,000 years ago.
Hey, they might have been right, man. If you're eating boogers out of the ocean, probably not a good call. I mean, I know everyone says they taste delicious, but it is a booger.
You come to Vancouver and we'll go for oysters because they're fantastic.
Yeah,
I used to like shellfish. I'm allergic now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I can no longer imbibe them, so I'm just gonna talk shit about them so everyone else stops eating them.
I'm not stopping.
I know.
You're not taking away my sushi, buddy. No way.
I never got to try sushi.
You know what, man? I've met Japanese folks that have come here and say that we have better sushi than they get in Japan sometimes.
Yeah,
so.
my sister lived there for 4 years and agrees.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah.
Damn.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I do want to try the blowfish.
Oh, the puffer?
That's the one. Yeah, the puffer fish. Yeah, blowfish. Where's my
Speaking
mind?
of, don't eat this, it'll kill you.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of like
they were kind of right.
I want to do it.
I should have listened.
They trying to warn us, like, yo, don't eat puffer.
You
fish.
can only eat it
Fuck
once.
you.
Yeah.
It's delicious. It's to die for. To die for. And I wanted to say something real quick. And Kate, a lot of the questions like you're asking yourself, I'm still asking myself that same exact shit. You know what I mean? Like there isn't a day that goes by where something comes across the timeline. I'm like, surely this is not all it's meant to be. Like, you know, like there's got it. Like you kind of like have this. Maybe it's just like the leftover religion, like the empty container that the religion came in or whatever, that's still sitting on the shelf, that it's still just like, it's got to get better than this, right? Like, but maybe this is just what it is. And that's the thing. I think atheists, Christians, everybody is kind of like, wow, things are kind of shitty right now. Surely there must be a reason, but maybe there ain't. Maybe that's just is what it is.
Haven't they always been shitty? Like,
right?
Isn't that just the condition?
When was it ever good for everyone?
Yeah.
Well, I think existence cohabitates with suffering.
Yeah,
it's just part of it. We are organic beings. It's just part and parcel. And personally, I don't think you need any of the religious stuff to make it any better. I think that I think things are improving as well, by the way. There's already talk now that they'll be able to extend our lifeline, our lifetimes. We'll be able to live
100,
longer.
Yeah, we're living to 120, 130.
They're talking 1,000, 1,500 years.
No.
Yeah.
No.
They have self-regenerative technologies that are on the rise right now.
Neil, you can't tell me that. You know how irresponsible I'm about to be as soon as this call is over? Now that I know that the silver bullet exists, I'm gonna live forever.
Okay, hold on, mister. All right, you gotta make sure these are technologies that are on the rise. They're not available for anyone yet, and even if they were, they'd probably be expensive as fuck. So
Hey,
you gotta wait. Like I'll never see the time where I'm gonna live to 1,500. Guarantee you.
Neil,
I'm already 1,500.
I've been waiting for the thing to kick off my villain arc, and you have just given me the ammunition I needed. Origin story ended. Now we get into the villainry.
It happened one time on YouTube, and now Mike's a villain. All right. So what's I kind of want to know what your villain name's going to be. I don't know. Famine's already pretty good.
I'll just darken up my my logo down there. Just put a hood on them.
Just put MF. People will never guess that it's Mikey Famine. They'll think, "Oh, that's not very nice."
That's how I answer all my emails. -MF. So it could be me signing out or me just throwing one more motherfucker at you before I go.
That's either.
You never know. You never know.
And Eric in the chat says he's calling it right now. There's going to be an alive tax if you live longer.
Oh my god! Yeah, dude, they would tax you every. It'll be like property tax.
Yeah. Well, I think shit. I had something. Damn it! I hate it when this happens. I was going to say something, and then it just falls out of your head. Like
I got one. So what are you? I got one real quick. So what's on your TikTok? Because Neil found you, but I didn't get a chance to visit. So what kind of topics do you make on your channel?
Well, I'm new to TikTok. So I've been on YouTube for 5 years.
You have a YouTube.
Yeah. So I've been doing YouTube videos. And, I just really have covered my entire gender transition, literally from day one. So all the things that I've gone through, as someone, there's some really great content makers out there who are trans, but they're in their 20s and they're younger. And so I just didn't see a lot of resources out there for people who are kind of in their later 30s, 40s, 50s, who had kids, married, divorced, struggling with religion. And that's really all the stuff I've put up there. I'm relatively new to TikTok. It's just been a few months now. And I'm experimenting. I would say that right now, mostly on TikTok is sports stuff. Like I play soccer, and soccer is important to me. It's, it's something I love. And I didn't realize how strongly people cared about women's sports until I started posting about it.
Funny that
we've been down there.
Yeah, funny that. Yeah, so I've kind of enjoyed with my teammates just posting a few videos from the sidelines, sweaty and trying to catch my breath and stuff. But kind of saying,
just watch that today, actually.
Yeah, just get out there. Like that's all I'm really saying is get out there, have fun. Don't let somebody hold you back. So yeah, TikTok is just fun for me right now. Well, it's all fun for me. It's just a cool hobby that I enjoy, and I'm just talking out my ass most days. That's about it. Yeah.
I have a friend here, Phoebe. She lives in jolly old England.
Oh.
She does a show similar to mine, but it's called Transition Stories.
Oh, okay.
So she likes to have folks on that are, transgendered and tell their stories of how they started it all and where they're at now and stuff like that. I can connect you to on Twitter.
Yeah, that'd be great. So I'd also say Phoebe that if she's watching, I'm a British citizen, so I've got my
cool.
So yeah, that's another story that
let me DM Phoebe. It's not that late over there.
Yeah, midnight ish.
Oh, one sec, guys.
Phoebe, don't sleep. All right, let's see here. I can't remember anybody's thing. Let's see. Questions in the chat. Anybody got questiones? Let's see here. Simply Secular Dave says, I think that Jesus meant prolific preacher, the same way that people use Karen for prolific self-centered woman today. He was a Karen, wasn't he? Just walking in there, flipping tables over, wanting to talk to the manager. Typical stuff. I'm going to dig into your YouTube now. Now I got a new channel to watch stuff on.
Oh, yeah. Please like, subscribe, and share.
Yeah, I dropped it in the chat. So everybody go do it right now. I'm watching her number of subscribers. I'm refreshing the page. I'm counting. I'm going to Social Blade right now.
So yeah, that'll be that. Yeah, small YouTube channel, and I just put stuff together. I don't make a ton of videos, maybe 10 a year, but it's
I was about to say, you have quite a few videos here. Like, I didn't sign up for like a short task.
Yeah, I guess maybe I am doing a lot of YouTube, but it's interesting with TikTok. Like it's the same vocabulary, but a different language. Like it's like a different fluency,
Right.
because it's so much quicker, and content strategies are different. Like YouTube is more evergreen stuff. People will go back to it, and
Right.
I'll get people commenting on videos from years ago. Whereas TikTok, just I think the way the algorithm works is it's the last 72 hours or so, and then it just gets buried.
Unless something's pointed out, and then people go back to it after that, like somebody stitches or something to it, or you get one of the comments that some jackass made. And anyway, yeah, sorry about that. That was Canadian Blood Services. They're still bugging me. I was a dedicated blood donor, Kate. I don't think I've ever told you this. My dad was BC's highest donor before he passed away. And then I took over. We always wanted to kind of donate together, but never could, just because of the scheduling. So I started a Partners for Life group in his honor. And when I went in there, they were like, well, you have to make a pledge. And I said, well, how many donations did my dad do? They went, he did like well over 530 something donations, or 40, whatever donations. I was like, how about we try to beat that? And they kind of looked at each other like I had three heads suddenly. And they're like, yeah, no, dude, that doesn't happen. Like, why don't you, like, single person started Partners for Life groups generally maybe do 20 to 50 a year. So why don't you say, shoot for the moon and go for 50? I said, well, you can write that down, but you haven't dealt with a guy like me before yet. So I went on the news and announced it all, and I did some YouTube stuff and announced it, and ended up recruiting over 200 people in the first year.
Oh, wow.
And we did 681 donations.
Nice.
And they kind of looked at each other like, holy fucking shit. And then they made a cake for me because I beat my initial pledge by 1,240%. So
well, that's significant. Congratulations.
Yeah. It was pretty cool.
And I'm sure the cake tasted great after giving blood.
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah.
The sugar.
I always loaded. I always brought a little bag with me and threw all the cookies in the bag. I need some for later. Some guy in one of the beds was looking at me one time. It's like, look at this guy. I'm like, dude, they have a shit ton of them, and I'm only taking like 5 or 6 packs. Like, relax. All right, there's gonna be some left for you, buddy. Don't worry. Anyway,
who's gonna eat all the graham crackers? Shut up, guy. There's plenty of graham crackers to go around.
No, dude, they have like Oreos and stuff now.
La ti da.
I know.
The other thing I do, Mikey, on my YouTube, I'm just looking at it because I guess I do have, as I talk about the different surgeries and the medical transition aspect of it, and I just try to be really honest so that people go into it with their eyes open. And
that's cool. You've been going through this now for 5 years, correct?
Yeah, about 5 years, 3 months, 4 months, in terms of a medical transition and a social transition.
Right. At what age do you figure you knew?
I was very
young.
young. Yeah. Like I'm going to say early 80s, like 5, 6. I can remember where I was living in Richmond at the time.
Oh, I grew up in Richmond too.
Did you? Okay. I at the time I was living in Rosewood Village at 2 in Blundell. And are you a Rosewood kid too, Neil?
No, I was South Arm Park though, right behind Robert's school. So
yeah, I went to St. Paul's,
but I know the area.
Yeah. I can remember where I was living, and it's so clear in my head because we moved to Steveston in 1984. So like I wasn't living there at the time. So yeah, I was young, and but I didn't have the language, didn't have the words to, like, Bugs Bunny was the only thing I saw, like, reflecting myself back to me, right?
Right. That's awesome, by the way.
Yeah. So it was just always there, and I always tried to push it down. And when I got married, it was always a struggle in my marriage, and we separated a couple of times over it. And then, finally the third time, it was just like, I can't do this.
Did she know going in?
I told her I was just a cross-dresser, and that I'm not like those people. I'm not. I'm not trans. Yeah. And what I learned over time is that the cross-dressing was really just like being on an iceberg or an ice floe in the river, and it just got smaller and smaller and smaller, and that relief I felt began to just disappear, and that caused all sorts of issues too.
Wow,
that was the most Canadian reference I've ever heard, by the way. An ice flow in a river. Like, tell me you're from Vancouver without telling me you're from Vancouver.
Well, there's no ice flow.
We hardly have. Well, we had some, I guess, a couple winters when it went really, really cold, because I'm at the tip of Queensboro, and the river splits here, and you could see them coming down here. Yeah. So there was chunks of ice.
Yeah,
but so it's very rare.
Very rare, yeah. So yeah, I wouldn't say she knew, in that I didn't really understand it when we were married, and we were young.
And you guys had one kid together?
6.
6?
Yeah.
Wow.
Holy cow!
Yeah.
How big of an age difference between them all?
My youngest is 9, and my oldest is 24.
Oh wow!
Oh wow! Yeah, my oldest is 11 weeks.
Oh wow! Congratulations!
Thank you.
That's
my youngest is 11 weeks. Just this one. No second one.
Mikey, what the hell? Like my mom always used to say, "What the fuck is wrong with you?"
I don't know. If I knew, I'd fix it.
No, all right. I think. First of all, because I haven't said it yet, and I really should. Happy Pride Month.
Yeah, happy Pride, everyone.
Oh yeah.
I put a couple of posts up about it, but especially the ones that, if this annoys the fuck out of you, good. That one's great. I like that one. But yeah, happy Pride, everyone, because there's folks in the chat right now that are members of the LGBTQIA2+ community. So, like my very good friend Beck, Uncle Beck, who I'm pretty sure will join us in the after party for sure. And Beck just actually had top surgery.
Ooh.
Oh, congratulations, Beck. That's awesome.
Oh, this is amazing.
Pretty sure he's recovered by now. Anyway, I think it would be really, really great idea if you did Phoebe's show, because you see, I don't want to ask too much about that, so it can be saved for that show. You know what I'm saying? But I do want to say, do you think that it has become some sort of not a deterrent, but like not like a wedge, but something that is being attributed to you losing your religiosity?
Like a causal relationship, you mean?
I guess, like, knowing how the books speak about anything to do with it doesn't even mention trans people.
No mention of trans. Well, I mean, there's in Leviticus, there's one mention about wearing clothes of, like, men shall not wear the clothes of women or something, or women shall not wear pants, and mixed fibers, the
mixed
linen,
fabrics like wool and cotton,
stuff like
stuff
that.
for women. Yeah. And also it does say, a man shall not sleep with another man like he does as a woman, etc., etc.
Yeah. So,
Although
but there's only 6 verses in the entire combined Bible of, like, referencing homosexuality, and that's it. Like, and most of them, the bully verses, they're called, and that's really how they're used, is to bully people into submission.
I would agree for sure. But let's face it, today's evangelicals or today's fundamentalists and stuff are all about taking out these people, right? Taking out that community in particular. So that's what I mean. Like, do you think that it has become sort of it's like dividing you from being a believer because of things like that?
Well, I don't want to conflate evangelicalism with kind of my experience in that. It's the prosperity gospel that it's based off is just ridiculous.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like it makes no allowance for suffering. It makes no allowance for difference. It's just like, Joel Osteen and the Hillside Church, or Hillsong, or whatever it's called in California. So I think evangelicalism is a scourge to everyone. Like,
yes,
it is a pestilence, regardless of belief. But in terms of me, like, I've always kind of had a more nuanced view, and I've always tried to understand the context of various church teachings, or what was in different scripture passages, or what have you, what was going on at the time, and I've never accepted things at face value, and I was constantly arguing with teachers about stuff. And
give us a for instance for that one, because that one kind of made me chuckle.
So, like, I'll focus in on a Catholic thing where there's the Catechism of the Catholic Church, which is like a book this thick about do this, don't do that, and there's a section in it about conscience. And essentially all of this doesn't matter, because your duty is to follow your conscience. And of course, the next line is something about having a well-formed conscience based on what the church has taught you. But, like, ultimately, your conscience should be the guiding light. And I used to argue with my professor about that. Like, well, what's the point of the next line about, based on what the church, a well-formed conscience or whatever, based on what the church has taught, if you've got that first line? And so that would be an example, I think, of just on one hand, sure, being a contrarian, but on another hand, like, I was espousing my true sense of the world. And being right in terms of to yourself, and whether something is and it was never about sin or not. It was more just about living. I'm trying to think of, well, I mean, other examples would be meeting ditchman. I used to jump over the ditches.
That's Dave. He lives over in Delta, so he's a local boy too.
That was an Olympic sport in the 1980s in Richmond.
Yes.
Took it very seriously.
The big one on Garden City, I jumped that a few times.
I was also
fucking rafted up and down it too. So.
Oh wow, go to Finn Road. You can still experience that. I think.
Yeah, I think it's there.
Yeah. So that would be. I was just always trying to understand it better and not just take what was accepted, what I was told. Like there's more out there, and there's more than what's in these books. So let's go find it.
Yeah. I mean, sure, you could, if you wanted to, use them as some sort of a beginning tool, but I think you should switch over to the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy after that. So that'll get you out there. I think we need Babel fishes, but
okay.
I think that would be awesome if we had those. All right. Well, I do think we could probably bring this to a close, and we'll do an after party. And that's where all the fun stuff happens. Not that these aren't fun to do, and we have a few laughs and talk about some pretty important stuff. So once again, guys, I want to say happy Pride to everyone out there.
Check out my new background.
Oh, nice. Still the Bulls,
Excuse you. You do not speak to royalty that way.
The NBA wronged Vancouver, Mikey.
Oh yeah.
Well, if it make you feel any better, Memphis hasn't won anything since the Grizzlies left.
So they're carrying on the tradition. Excellent.
You're not missing anything because they're still losing. You're welcome. You don't have a losing team anymore.
I think our biggest issue was that fucking Bryant Reeves.
Yeah.
Hey, Big Country? What's wrong with Big Country?
$64 million.
Big Country was the only guy that could shut down. He couldn't do nothing on Shaq. He was the only Shaq stopper in the league. Worth every penny.
All right, I'll give you that. That is.
You didn't have Shaq putting all your players through the net. You're welcome.
All right. Anyways, well, Kate, it's great meeting you finally, like virtually, and I think we should get together and have a couple of coffees. I can't really drink, but I could probably sneak a beer in here and there if you're up for it.
Yeah.
But I do think we should definitely hang out. I think it'd be cool. And also, I do want to thank you very much for joining Mikey and me and sharing your thoughts on all this and letting us into a little bit of who you are. And I think that was great that you came on and did that. I don't know what you were expecting when you came on here. Neither did I really, because you weren't really an atheist per se, but I think all of us can probably at least agree to some degree that we're all sort of agnostic. I think you have to be. I personally don't think I am. I think I'm more. I really don't think that there is the existence of any deities at all. And many have been proposed, like literally hundreds of thousands in Hinduism alone.
And Neil never says yes. He never says yes to the dress. They propose, but Neil is, no, he's not going.
I did it once, and 3 months later found out she was doing cocaine and other guys. So, yeah.
And then those gods came a knocking, and he was like, nope, not again.
I see. Never mind.
Yes, there you go.
So thank you so much for joining Mike and me today. And we are going to do the after party, guys. If you want to get involved, just let us know. There is a link below if you just want to watch. And speaking of watching, thank you guys out there in the chat and for hanging out with us for the afternoon. We are going to be oh yes, our patrons and members. I already spoke about the after party. Never mind. Our patrons and members, thank you guys. We couldn't do this without you. I'm just not all here today. If I didn't tell the story, I will in the after party. So you're gonna have to tune in to hear the story because it's a doozy. Hello, Bree and Irish Swedes just showed up. Why do you guys show up at the end all the time? We're doing the after party, so come and hang out there. Anyways, thanks everybody. I know. I'm kidding. Until then, like I always say at the end of the interviews, guys, like the late great Christopher Hitchens once said, it's called faith because it's not knowledge. And we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.